Welcome, Fort Wayne, to the ArtBeat, the heartbeat of the community, where we talk everything about arts in our community. And so, before we dive in, we'll love to just give a little prayer for before we start. So, dear Heavenly Father, we just come to you and just asking you to bless this meeting with a dear friend here, and whatever we say be acceptable in your sight. Lord, we know that you are able to do anything and everything. So we just ask you to continue to bless our conversation and bless this community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. So today I have the pleasure of bringing my dear friend Patrick Hess onto the set. Man, this is a long time coming, actually. And for the listeners out there, this is kind of where it all kind of started, a little bit between our relationships right in this studio here. So give a warm welcome to my man Patrick Hess from Day 6 Talent.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on here today.
Right. And so today, man, you know what? We're going to just dive in and get right into just topic and discussion around managing and cultivating talent today. I think the community deserves to hear that, deserves to hear what you've been doing, and just get some expertise in that area, because there's a lot of talent out there is looking for management or looking for development. They may not know where to go in the city. And today we're going to discuss some opportunities for them and give them some insight on the industry around managing and cultivating talent.
Okay, that's great.
All right. So give a little brief background about yourself a little bit, Patrick.
I think a lot of people that have met me, obviously they know my adult version of myself, but I started in singing and acting when I was real young personally. And by the time I was 30 years old, I actually was acting off Broadway on stage. And I don't know that even you knew that about my background, but I had a run of a show that was the first version of the Scarlet Pimpernel off Broadway, and we ran for 27 dates. And ended up earning myself a Best Actor award in that. So wow. I had a lot of exposure to the industry, the entertainment industry in that regard. Plus, I've always been a singer in that regard. So, but I got my start with the agency and starting with the talent operations in around 2008 is about when I started ramping up a lot of that. In fact, that's when we actually met. You had come to talk to me about doing some music videos. And so since 2008, I've been involved pretty heavily in the entertainment development, working with different types of talent, whether it be singing, acting, voiceover talent, people that are looking for modeling, that type of thing. So,
okay, great. Man, yes. Before I go any further, which I did not do, I am the co-host of the show, Gralan Early, right? People need to know who I am a little bit, but also I'm filling in for our host, Cliff Latham, for today, and so shout out to Cliff if he's watching. Hopefully I do it justice. I don't do it like you, but we're going to make it happen today. Icebreaker question. And some people, how did you get involved? Well, you kind of went into how you got involved in talent development and management. Why did you want to get into developing and managing talent?
Well, I'd say it's probably twofold. First of all, I have a calling. I am a pastor, and so I have a calling to work with people and mentor people. Period. So most of my adult life, I've been in a situation where I've been able to help lead and guide people in different areas, whether it's business or their personal spiritual lives, etc. But I walked by my at the time my 13-year-old son's bedroom and actually heard him singing a Maroon 5 song, and I was taken aback because he had such a very pure tone and ability in his voice, and he was doing some little riffs. And I was pretty shocked, and I popped in and said, "Wait a minute, was that you or was that a recording?" He's like, "No, I was just singing." And so it inspired me to say, well, what better opportunity than to take my own son and start working with him, which is again how we met,
Yes.
right here in this studio, and we started developing him to become more of a singer, and fortunately that opened up the door to meet a lot of people, and by the time that he was 15, we had done enough music videos. At the time, it was more of a Justin Bieber type thing, really happening in the online community. And so we had traveled to Nashville. He went down for a baseball tournament. He was a two-sport athlete. We went and met with a record label, which happened to have a television show. And he ended up being signed at 15 years old to a record label deal and a television deal, which kind of immersed me in the world of television and music at the same time. And I spent several years in that segment of the business and met a lot of people, networked, and that helped me to understand, hey, a lot of what I did for my own son can be transferred on to other people that are interested in developing their own careers.
Okay. Now let's pause for a second right there. One, you just said that you started working with your son and developing him. For the listeners and viewers out there, let's stay on that for a minute and talk about the parenting aspect of managing, because we know that it could have some challenges, right? And some parents out there is like, "Ooh, I got this superstar, singer, actor, model out there, who I'm taking them everywhere." How do they really get, really wrap their mind around starting when they maybe have no background in it?
I think there's I'm just going to give a warning for my own track record here with my son. My son is 29 years old. And again, this was 14 years ago. We started his career. He is very successful in his industry that he made. He's made his 7-figure income. Let's put it that way. I think there's a fine line between being a momager or a dadager, which is the industry term.
Yes.
You deal with record labels, and they see you coming along with an underage person, and they're like, oh gosh, we don't want momagers or dadagers because they're a nightmare to deal with. So I could tell you at this point, not for self-promotion, but it is better that you become a parent that cares about their well-being and not trying to guide their talent or their career. Try to have, and sometimes you can't afford it because you can't afford to let whatever few pennies you're making be given away to somebody else. But it could be career suicide for your underage person to really be so heavily handed involved that you end up vicariously living through that child, maybe some of your own dreams. And I've had that accusation of mine with my son, is that a lot of people thought because I had a background that I was trying to repeat that, but that wasn't the case in our situation. He totally different type of entertainer. But I think it's best that you try to not put yourself in that position of being there, the one that dictates how the business or the talent side of their career goes. And I want to give a little caveat is the biggest challenge I think in the entertainment industry is artists and parents of artists, if they're underage, are very obsessed with the fact that, look, I've got talent. And Gralan, as well as I do, there's more talent in this world than there's opportunities.
Oh yeah.
And when you talk to labels and when you talk to a lot of the industry people, it's it's always trying to discover someone, and the discovery isn't about how great can they sing, how great can they act. It's more the other intangibles. And I think because we're both into sports, there's the metaphor in baseball is a 5-tool player. Mm-hmm. And if you are in the entertainment industry, I would tell parents or anyone that's looking to develop themselves, stop trying to let your talent be your lead card. There's a lot more involved. Yes, you have to have talent. That's like in any sport, you have to be able to run and have physical ability. Oh. Great. So let's check that box. Great. You have talent. There's a whole lot more to developing talent than just the skill that they have. A lot of it is work ethic. A lot of it is integrity, follow through. A lot of people and talent that I've worked with, they have the ambition of getting rich and having fame, but they forget about the work ethic.
Yes.
They don't realize you have to grind when you're not making anything. A lot of them are looking for, how can I make the quick buck? How can I network? How can I get to be the show opener for so and so that's really famous? They're looking for that shortcut to the top, and that doesn't work. And the part about developing talent is also making sure that they understand that it is a business. You are a business. You are not a commodity yet. And so I know we can get into a little bit more of the minutia on that, but I think that's more the essence of understanding how you have to view yourself. And again, back to the momager, dadager, your child is not your meal ticket. And I see that happen a lot in sports. It happens a lot in the entertainment industries, that the parents think that it's their meal ticket, and you have to separate yourself from that.
No, I totally agree, and a lot, because we did, I deal in sports as well, and we see it in the community a lot. So and so got this great football talent, and we're riding that coattail, instead of making sure that they're coachable, making sure that they have a good work ethic, on and off the field, and making sure at least having a backup plan for if it doesn't go well, have great academics, and so that they can go to college and pursue other things, alongside. So definitely, and I think that kind of segues into what do you look for, when you see raw talent, and maybe it's through the social media aspect. What are you looking for from someone that potentially has talent?
I'd say from a strictly business standpoint, obviously you're looking for somebody that might already have a built-in audience, because then it's quicker to get them to the next level. If you're talking to somebody that's never really developed an audience for themselves, you're looking for their ability. Again, teachableness is a great part of it. A lot of people in the entertainment industry try to very much pigeonhole themselves into a sound or look that is already out there. And I think part of the distinction is, look, we already have a Beyonce. We already have
originality.
We already have some of those things that you're trying to emulate and look like. And I think that's great to develop yourself. And I think, one of the things is the different genres. Let's just talk about music. Different genres have different approaches that you need to look at. I would assume in the hip hop industry, originality and being able to create a lyric that's going to be original and have a catchiness to it. That's going to be your lead card when it comes to how you promote yourself. In the music side of it, if you're talking singing or performing, sometimes the quickest route to that is doing covers and becoming famous, because people know how to relate to your talent because of what you're doing. If you look at shows like American Idol, all of the artists on there, they're covering other artists' music. Very recently, they've started adding in originals for auditions. But if you're trying to build your audience, hey man, that guy, he does a great version of such and such song. That can be a thing that I would look at and say, how well can they emulate the existing market? Because believe it or not, there is a business case for doing covers. I mean, there's a lot of career people like Michael Bolton. His whole career was covers, so there are things that I look at for that. I'd say beyond that, there is a look, there is a vibe that a person carries, but the intangibles would be, how do they carry themselves publicly? Are they a rowdy person? Do they have a good reputation in the community that they're a part of? I've had probably 4 or 5 artists that I've signed that burnt out quickly because they couldn't control themselves in a nightclub setting. They're drunk, they're hitting up on people, and they're taking their fans and they're doing things they shouldn't be doing. Those are all character issues that I look at. How is this person's character? How well do they carry themselves? Now, not everybody's going to be a saint necessarily.
Oh, right.
But there are some, even in regular business, and you sign a contract deal in a professional sport, You have code of ethics and code of conduct that you are legally bound to say, hey, if I step outside of this parameter, I'm out. And so I try to help talent understand that it's not just the talent, it's how they live 24/7 that really can make a difference on whether somebody's going to want to take a risk, or even fans will take a risk with you.
Yeah, so I call it the, lifestyle. We deal a lot in music and other areas of entertainment, but definitely music. Music is, to me, is like a lifestyle career. How your lifestyle, and people are connected to the lifestyle, whether it's positive or negative out there, right? And so what do you want to put out there in the broader world of who you are as an artist or as a talent matters. And so when you want people to be a part of your network, to come alongside of you and help you develop, help you move your career along, and give you opportunities, it is about your lifestyle that you live in, not just what you sing in the studio, but truly, how are you in real life? So
That's exactly right.
yeah. So definitely, it's a lot of fold. And one of the things that you mentioned, definitely the risk factor. I've known in my experiences, a lot of hip hop artists, how they're living. They're 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the streets, and one incident, sends them to jail, sends them to places where now you can't do what you want to do, and even though that you're talented, it's just all wasted. And so yes, lifestyle, how you live, is very important. The business aspect of managing. Why would somebody want to manage someone from a business standpoint? Think about your agency, Day 6 Talent. Why would you want to get behind artists outside of just money? And we know money is a good factor, right? Like, we got to feed our families and stuff, However, outside of that, why would you come alongside of someone and to manage them and to help develop them?
Gralan, I've had, sad to say, a 40-year career in marketing. I say sad because I'm getting older. So I've spent 40 years promoting and marketing products, and in this case, in the talent industry, you're promoting a brand of a person's image or whatever product that it is. If they're a singer, if they're a model, if they're a voiceover talent, whatever it is, you're promoting that. And I think if I look at it through a business lens, obviously when you're talking about marketing in general, you look at where's the niche. Where does that product fit into the landscape of where they're trying to reach? Mm-hmm. Obviously, you're looking for uniqueness. That's certainly a part of it. But there are, thousands of restaurants out there, all of them selling a hamburger. Well, why should I buy that hamburger? And that's the nuance that you have to think about when you're looking at talent, is what about that version of a R&B artist is going to make them stand out? I personally look for the intangibles of marketing. So in the case of my son, as an example, he went through in junior high a lot of bullying, and he was being bullied because, number one, he was a Christian. He didn't cuss and talk about the things that a lot of his peers did, and he was the target of bullying. Well, we use that platform of bullying as a marketing angle to help build his audience. There's a lot of kids his age that were being bullied, so we partnered with we went to a national bullying organization. He became a spokesman for them as a teenager. And so we are looking at ways to try to be able to get them connected in a marketplace to a cause. And sometimes that cause can be their entryway, and the talent follows in behind it, as opposed to going head on head. And in the case of my son, 15 years old, he's not going to be the guy that's going to beat out existing talent in the mainstream market. So we found a niche. He built an audience there, And then we started cultivating that into opening doors to other opportunities for him. So usually I look at ways to take a person's talent and ability, and then I look at offline, what are they doing in their community? What kind of programs could they be connected to that would help them co-brand? That's what we call it. We attach their name to a cause or something. I've actually helped develop my wife's career, which, by the way, is Sierra White. If you look her up on Spotify,
good plug right there.
She's an R&B artist, but she also suffers from extreme social anxiety, which is, I mean, she was diagnosed. She at a part of her life, she was unable to go out of the house because she was so terrified of being in the public setting. Now, it wasn't as bad as it sounds, but it was. And there was a lot of opportunity for us to connect with people that had that type of issue. Now, it's kind of funny and ironic because here she likes to perform and sing,
right,
but she doesn't like to be around people. So it's like, how did the two meet? Well, in her case, we're narrowing it down. She's an amazing voiceover artist.
Actress, right?
She's been in several films now.
Yeah.
She actually was cast in the lead of a major motion picture. So we look at niches where she could be on a small set in a room similar to this. She feels a lot more comfortable. So developing talent isn't always about just the talent. It's about understanding the nature of the person you're working with and how to cultivate that uniqueness and grow it from there. And part of that is perception, spiritual insight. But another part of that is actually taking their personality, understanding who they are, what they're capable of doing, and then push them in that direction.
Yes. Good. That was great. We're going to get into maybe something that is going to maybe strike a nerve with some of you artists out there. And I'll let Patrick speak on it first, and then I'll give my little 2 cents. How does, well, let me rephrase it. When dealing with an artist and you have a plan for that artist to develop them and get them to the market that really suits and fits them, right? However, it might cause a little bit of changing the artist and what they're doing and how they're doing it, that artistic freedom. Now, maybe you might be impeding on that a little bit. How do you navigate that from a business standpoint? Someone who's like, look, hey, we have a plan. We set this out. This is what you asked me to come alongside of you to do to help you get to the market. How do you navigate that as a manager or artist, talent developer?
I'd say that's probably the number one challenge that I've always had working with artists, starting with my own son. He, at a very young age, was highly impressionable with the hip hop industry. You and I both know.
Wanted to be a rapper.
You wanted to be a rapper. We were here in this building, and we were like, okay, try it. And the kid couldn't rhyme. The kid had no beat. He couldn't find the offbeat. He couldn't clap the offbeat. So it was one thing between what they envisioned for themselves and another with the practical reality of, is this believable?
Yes.
And I think that's the challenge at the time. I mean, now he's got some hip hop stuff out that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's dope. Yeah.
He's really developed it, but it took him several years of having experience in the studio, experience working with people that understand that industry and being mentored by them to be able to develop the talent that makes him believable. And I think that's, again, we'll talk in the music industry, authenticity does sell.
Yes.
You could see on television when you watch some of these reality shows, the people that have tried to come up sounding just like so-and-so, and you see it, but it's not authentic. They've been trained to emulate their mentor, their muse, if you will. I've heard a lot of people that riff like Whitney, and they sound very similar, but we don't need another Whitney.
No, we
don't. So when you're dealing with a talent in the studio, as an example, and they're doing certain things in their music that sound too much like so-and-so or not enough in the lane they're in, it's probably the biggest sticking point. I can tell you when Spencer was developing his first full album, This was back in 2014. We were working in the studio with some Grammy-winning producers, and talk about humbling. I'm sitting in the back as a dadager, and here's a Grammy-winning producer pushing buttons and pulling levers, and it ended up becoming really difficult to help my son understand to follow the lead of the guy that's been there. And I think that's part of the issue, is that a lot of young artists or even inexperienced talent, they don't understand that you have to humble yourself to get to the place where you're teachable and moldable. It doesn't mean your authenticity is not going to shine through, but tell me some athletes that you haven't worked with that have raw talent, but that you got to get them to understand technique and phase that in.
Yeah. I'll just speak on that real brief. I think talent, great. You got a vision for yourself. That's great. But you did ask me to come alongside of you to help you out and to help guide you. There has to be that trust, right? There has to be that trust within that. And so that we can get to the place where you want to be ultimately. And there is some sacrifices. As a manager, as a talent developer, we sacrifice a lot for the artists. Even when they're not even around, we thinking about how we can plug them in and other opportunities that we can get them involved in. And so there's that level of trust that needs to happen. I know we talked a lot, not enough, for the audience to really to understand. And I think we hit some great points in our conversation. Is there anything that you want to leave people with surrounding this managing, cultivating talent, to any talent that's out there? Speak to them so that they can have a better understanding of when they come to maybe the Day 6 talent agency and say, hey, Patrick, I'm in need of some of your services, and maybe when is the right time for that?
I think number one, grinding before you go to an agent. Have something to show in your portfolio. Have an example of, look, here's some of my footage of my live performing. Here's samples of commercials I've done with voiceover. Here are things. So have your portfolio ready before you go to an agency, so that they understand that you've already grinded for a while. A lot of agencies aren't going to take you on if you're raw talent and haven't had any kind of experience. So having some experience is good, even if it's not the best quality materials. If you've got a mixtape that you've put in GarageBand and something in your computer, that's one thing. I think the other part of it is that you are asking that agency to develop your brand. And that brand may not be one lane. It may be 20 different lanes. I don't know if you've ever been to a casino, but I always like to use the metaphor of a roulette wheel. Sometimes you spread the chips around in case something lands. Same thing in the entertainment industry. Sometimes what you think is going to land you isn't what's going to land you, but it might be something completely different. You might get featured in somebody else's song, and that could bring you up to some level of credibility. So let your talent agency in that manage your opportunities more than I need it to look and feel this way. Because a lot of people go in and saying, this is what I want it to look like. Let your expectations be filtered through that manager that understands how to read the market. It's like reading the tea leaves. You kind of see where things can happen for you.
All right. Well, thank you, Patrick. Day 6 Talent Agency. If you're an artist out there, definitely reach out. It never hurts to have a conversation around, when is the best time to acquire some services on managing and helping someone help develop and cultivate your talent. And so if you're a parent out there, don't be that kind of momager or dadager out there. Really, like Patrick said, look at the other tangible things that's out there for to help your son or daughter in their career. So thank you for watching. This is the ArtBeat.